Hey guys, my name is Evan Darty, and I'm here today to walk you through the basics of the program called Socrative, or Socrative, however you like to call it. Socrative is an application that is used for online quizzes that you can send out to your students, and you can also do it in live time, which is nice. It gives you immediate feedback. It is very similar to the app that some of you may have heard of called Kahoot. It just has a couple of different features that I will talk with you about today. So obviously the easiest way to access this is just go to the website, Socrative.com, and from there you are going to log in as a teacher login. There's only a couple steps that you have to complete, just telling you what level you teach at and what school you teach at, and you can sign in via that way or even through a Google account. So my account is pulled up right here, and this is what your home screen is going to look like. As you can see at the top, you have your launch option right here, which is where you're going to launch the quizzes or a space race or exit ticket, whatever assessment that you have completed for your students. You're going to be able to launch it out through here, and I'll show you guys that in a second. Quizzes. If you go to the next tab, here's where you're actually going to make your quiz, build your quiz. You can edit your quizzes. You can share out quizzes. This is kind of the platform in order to do that. As you can see, I already have two quizzes that I have made here. One being a basketball quiz, one world facts. And there's a couple different options that I want to show you. The first thing is if you just want to copy your quiz, say you want to, export it to a Microsoft Word document or something like that, you can easily do that here by clicking on Copy Quiz. You can also download the quiz to an external thing, using a PDF file, or like I said, Microsoft Word, or you can even share it out. And this lets you share a link to your quiz to other teachers. So again, this isn't sharing out to your students. I'll talk about that in a second. This is just sharing with some of your colleagues. So if you wanted to share this quiz, you could easily do that by copying the URL and just sending it out in an email. You can create a folder here to organize your quizzes. I have not done that, but say, you're in a specific unit. Say I'm in a basketball unit and I had a couple of different basketball quizzes. I could create a folder and store those quizzes in that folder just to keep it more organized. Over here, you have your trash. If you ever need to, delete a quiz, you can easily check that box, delete it, or move it into one of your folders. So I'm just going to pull up one of my quizzes here just to walk you through a couple of the basics and some of your options for quizzes. So I know I had already created this quiz, but I'm going to click on it and access it. As you can see here, you have your title at the top. You have a couple different options for types of questions that you can ask. As you can see, I have multiple choice, I have true, false. If I scroll to the bottom and I want to keep adding questions, it gives me my three options: multiple choice, true, false, or short answer. For each of those questions, you have some options on the side. You can easily delete a question. You can move the question up or down, by reordering it. Or you can also copy the question if you wanted to copy that question and add it to a different quiz or something like that. Obviously, you're going to choose your correct answer always if you're in multiple choice or true, false. And if you were to add a short answer question, like I just did here, you're going to type your question. And then you can add a correct answer by typing it in. And then the other nice thing is for all of these, you can add an explanation to all of your questions, which is a nice feature. So that way when your students take the quiz, if they get the question wrong, perhaps you provide an explanation kind of telling them why they got the question wrong. So I'm going to keep this quiz like it is, so I'm going to delete the question. You always want to save an exit when you're done completing a quiz. If you really wanted to, you could align your quiz to a standard, and that's this option right here. That just kind of goes a little more in depth. I'm not going to go through that today with you guys, but is just another option when creating your quizzes. So I'm going to save and exit. Rooms right here, this is what is open. So this shows that one of my quizzes is open right now. So you see the status has this little blinking kind of arrow going on. That just shows that it is currently in progress. Again, it allows you to share, allows you to pull up the roster or even delete it. in order to share out your quiz, so if you have created your quiz and you want your students to take it, right now, actually I'm going to go to results right here and I'm going to hit finish, so that way I can show you guys how to relaunch it. When you finish a quiz, say all your students have taken it here, you're going to hit finish, and then you have a couple different options. You can get your reports, which means it'll show your data of your assessment. You can put it in a chart form, or you can go to the launch option. All right, I'm just going to click get reports. When you hit get reports, it gives you a couple different options here. You can go export it to an Excel document. You can pull it up for individual students and give them their PDF form to see how they did. Or you can do the question specific. Say, a lot of students got one question wrong and you wanted to point that out. You could choose that option as well. And then again, how would you like your reports? You can send it via email to a student, or you could always just download it and then send it out via BCPS1 in your messages, which is always a good option as well. Oops. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our launch screen here. Say I wanted to launch out one of my quizzes. In order to do that, you're always going to have a name up here. All right. Right now mine says Darty4669. This is an important code that all of your students are going to need. So this code would probably be something you would want to write on your board or somewhere where all your students can see it. So that way they know how to access your quiz. If I'm launching my quiz, I'm going to say yes to stop that quiz. Say I want to launch my basketball quiz right here. I would click on the basketball quiz, or the quiz I wanted to launch. You can't launch more than one quiz at a time. That's the only kind of downfall to it. But again, here if I select basketball quiz, I'm going to hit next, and then it gives me the settings for how I want to launch the quiz. So do I want it as an instant feedback tool? That means that as soon as the student takes the quiz or answers a question, it's going to give them instant feedback whether they got it right or wrong. I can do it open navigation. It kind of gives you the description here where they can answer questions in any order, and they can kind of go back and change their answers too before they finish the test. And then there's teacher paced, and that's kind of self-explanatory. The teacher gets to control the pace of the test and monitor as what's going on. So once I choose one of those options, I'm going to choose instant feedback. You have another set of options over here. You probably always want to require names, unless, of course, you're just kind of doing it as a poll for your class, then you might not want to require names. You can shuffle questions and answers, show question feedback, final score, on any of those options that you want to click. These are the options that I'm going to choose to go with for my quiz, and I hit start. So right now that means that quiz is being shared out. If a student were now to go to Socrative's home website and they were to put in my code Darty4669, they can access this quiz. So they would simply go to the home website, they would click student login, they're going to put in the password like I just said, Darty4669, hit join, and it's immediately going to prompt them to enter their name. Alright, so enter their name, click done, and that's going to immediately bring them to the first question of the quiz. And they can go through here, just answer questions. I'm just, clicking on answers. Obviously, I know how many points a foul shot is worth, and it's going to give them immediate feedback because that was the option that I chose. Again, going to give immediate feedback. I'm just going to run through this quiz really quick, just that way you guys can see what it looks from their point of view. Last question, boom. So immediate feedback, it just says that you've completed the current activity and it's waiting for the next one to begin. So I didn't choose to give them their final score as an option, but if you notice, and I go back to my account here, and I go to results, oops. It's going to make me log back in real quick. If I go to results, as you can see, here is my progress right here. If you wanted to show your progress, to the entire class, some of these options are great things. You can choose to not show names, so that way kids aren't embarrassed by their score, but it does show you the percentages of how your class did on certain questions. Or you could even choose to not show the answers as well. All right, so that's doesn't show answers, but you can still see percentages. So that just kind of gives you a general sense of how everybody did on your quiz. It's a great tool, especially for getting immediate feedback. If you go over here to the launch thing again, there are two other options that I'm just very quickly just going to kind of show you what they are. Space Race is this kind of fun interactive tool for your students. It's essentially a quiz, except the quiz is just kind of a race. So you could have a couple of different groups of students competing against each other in order to finish first, or just to see which group gets more questions right. If I want to do the space race using that basketball quiz, I'm just going to choose that quiz. I'm going to choose my number of teams. Say, I have a class of, 20 kids, and, I want there to be 4 groups, 4 teams. I can auto assign, or I can do it by student choice. That's up to you. And then of course you got your icons. If you want to make it something different, we'll keep it with a rocket. And then you can have a countdown as well if you want it, but that's only for the pro version. Again, you have your other options on the side, whether you would like to shuffle answers or show the feedback, that sort of thing. And then you can start. And the same thing, your students would enter your code. When you're sharing out your code number, they're going to go to their account, type this in as a group. Somebody in the group would do that, and then it's going to show their teams and then their progress as they go through the quiz. Again, you can use any of these options to view your scores. Last thing that I'm going to show here is your exit ticket. I'm not going to go through the specifics of that. It's really the same kind of thing. It's just just kind of a brief assessment that you can add in towards the end of your lesson. And then if you just want to ask a question, almost like a poll question, quick question, you can simply just do that as well. This is just a faster option. If you just want to shoot a real quick multiple choice, true, false, or short answer up there to your students to kind of get some discussion started, that's a great way to do that as well. Basically, always know your code, so that way you can share out to your students. Have your stuff prepared ahead of time, so that way you're always ready to go. It's a great tool that you can always get instantaneous feedback results for. I always recommend it. Please let me know if you guys have any questions at all about how to use Socrative. Have a great day.